Definition, importance, and kinds of research. So these are the following objectives. Describe research experiences and knowledge. Explain the importance of research in daily life. Explain the features of scientific research. Okay, to start with, you probably have heard the line, why do people cry when they hear the word goodbye in a love song? Do you feel like crying when you hear the word goodbye in a love song? From a popular song in 1980s entitled A Love Song by Kenny Rogers, it is a bit emotional. Now, if you are asked to answer this specific question, what would your answer be? This is the question. Why do people cry when they hear the word goodbye in a love song? Why? What is your answer? Now, I have another question. How did you come up with your answer? What was your basis for saying so? Do you think there is only one possible answer to the question? Would there be a right or wrong answer? Do you think that question is important on the first hand? And how will you go about finding your answer to the question? So many questions, right? Probably you are wondering why you are being asked to answer such a question. Would you care enough to give an answer? Okay, here are the two essential questions that we are going to answer at the end of the class. What is research and why do we engage in research? Why? Is this important in my life? It says here, the acquisition of both knowledge and skills of social scientific research is a vital part of formal learning or education in schools, colleges, and universities. That's why in every school, college, or university, there would always be a research requirement. It is integrated throughout the curriculum and provides the students with the training in specific research methodologies. Okay, why? Because you are going to discover those practical problems and try to contribute solutions to those practical problems. Actually, this year or last year, there are so many problems, and out of those problems, there are answers that are totally in demand of. Okay. What is research? It pertains to any systematic investigation of any social or natural phenomena where results and conclusions are aimed at contributing to generalizable knowledge. As a systematic investigation or inquiry, research requires that data are collected, analyzed, interpreted in order to understand, describe, predict, or control a phenomenon. If you could see that italicized font, those are important keywords or key terms in this research definition. You know what, students? You are engaging in research every day of your lives. When you survey, let's say you are inside the market and you determine the best product, be it in your clothing, gadget, what else? A pair of shoes, etc. Or inside a class, when you access information from different sources, you go to the library and find some sources to answer a question. Or when you search for data or evidence to support your claim for a term paper, these are part of research task. Okay? But in this subject, you are going to understand scientific research. Okay? And a research becomes scientific if it satisfies two requirements. The first requirement is if this research contributes to a body of science. Does it contribute something to the body of knowledge in the library? Okay, and then if the research follows the scientific method. Because there is actually difference between inquiry and research. When we say inquiry, you don't undergo a systematic investigation. When we say systematic, there is an order that you follow. But if it's just an inquiry, you ask a question, it's just a question that you ask or you post without even undergoing a step-by-step investigation to find an answer to your question. Okay? Okay. Now, there are two different terms that you need to understand. Okay? What is science and what is a scientific method? A science refers to a systematic and organized body of knowledge in any area of inquiry. How about scientific method? It refers to a standardized set of techniques for building scientific knowledges, such as how to make valid observations, how to interpret results, and how to generalize those results. Okay. Now, we also have to differentiate inductive and from deductive research. Okay, you have already come across with the word inductive and deductive reasoning, right? With the word inductive, you have a prior knowledge about inductive reasoning, where you start from specific to general. For deductive, you start from general to specific. And these terms are also important in understanding research, okay? So what is inductive research? Inductive research, if the goal is to infer theoretical concepts and patterns from observed data. What does that mean? Inductive research, as I have mentioned a while ago, that you start from specific to general, that means you are generating theories. Okay? So the information starts from you, from your observed data. Okay? After you have observed a certain phenomena or after you have observed a certain event, then you generate a theory or a concept out of your observation. Okay? Whereas deductive research, the goal is to test concepts and patterns known from theory using new empirical data. Deductive research, that means there are already theories, there are already concepts, and what you just have to do is to test whether those theories or concepts are still applicable in your time. Are you with me? Okay. So, in other words, inductive research, it's theory building. Okay? For deductive research, theory testing. Nandun na yung theory, itetest mo lang kung applicable pa ba siya sa ating panahon. Because we believe that theories are generating from time to time different theories at yung ibang mga theories are already outdated, hindi na siya applicable, and therefore it needs a research to test whether they are still applicable or not. Okay? Now, there are also two terms that you have to remember: basic research and applied research. Basic research aims at testing existing theories or generating new theories to advance knowledge or understanding. Applied research uses knowledge acquired through research in order to contribute directly to the understanding or resolution of practical issues. Okay, when you write a literature review or when you write a term paper, an argumentative essay, Of course, you start from researching those information, right? In order that you could create a cohesive knowledge, right? So basically, you are using a basic research. But if those information from the library are being gathered together, and after that, you use those information to support your your process of finding more data, then that's an applied research. Why? Because the main goal of applied research is to contribute to the solution of specific practical problems. Later on, as we delve into our topic or more lesson presentation, we would have a more understanding about applied research because this is our subject. Moving further, I am going to show to you the overview, components of research process. This is very important. Okay, now, before we discuss about components of research process, there are three kinds of research that you need to understand. Three kinds of research: exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory. Let's start with the word exploratory. It says here to scope out the magnitude or extent of a particular phenomenon. Coming from the word explore, right? Exploratory. You are going to measure the extent of a particular phenomenon. Let me give you an example. Example, let's say here in the Philippines, let's say the citizens here in our country are generally dissatisfied with the government policies, okay, during an economic collapse, right? During the pandemic, there is an economic collapse. And using exploratory research, you are going to measure the extent of the citizens' dissatisfaction. Gaano ba ka-dissatisfy yung citizen? Yon. And then you're going to understand how dissatisfaction is manifested. Kung paano nakikita yung dissatisfaction na iyon. Okay? So, you just have to remember that exploratory research is measuring the extent of a particular problem. Okay? And then next one, descriptive research. Descriptive research, making careful observation and detailed documentation of a phenomenon of interest. So, when we say descriptive research, with the word describe, you have to take note of the three words. The three words such as what, where, and when. Para kang isa kang reporter. Isa kang reporter sa isang event at aalimin mo kung ano yung pangyayaring iyon, saan, ginanap, kailan naganap ang isang phenomenon. Nakuha? Pagkatapos mo alamin lahat ng iyon, itatabulate mo na siya using a statistical map about a population or about a certain phenomenon or a certain event. Usually, a descriptive research is a quantitative research. So, kahit hindi nyo na yan i-delve into yung topic na yan. But anyway, descriptive research is more about documenting what you observe in a specific event or phenomenon. Okay? Are you there? And then, whereas explanatory research seeks explanation of observed phenomena, problems, or behaviors, you just have to remember the word explain. Ask yourself why. Bakit? Ano yung mga dahilan? When you are finding out factors, reason behind something with the goal of prescribing strategies, that is an explanatory research. Are you with me? Let me give you an example. Example, you are going to understand the reason behind adolescent crime or gang violence. Okay? So, aalamin mo ngayon, ano yung mga dahilan bakit tumataas na yung adolescent crime? Bakit kailangan mong alamin ang reason? Kasi may goal ka na magbibigay ka ng strategy to overcome those problems. Okay, are you there? Okay, so you just have to remember that explanatory research seeks to answer the why and how. Okay, so these are the three kinds of research. Iba pa yung sinasabi nating qualitative and quantitative research. They are not kinds of research. Okay? Qualitative and quantitative research are not kinds of research, but they are types of research methodology in which we are going to discuss it later on. So itong three kinds of research are applicable to the two different research methodology. Okay? Moving forward, let's start with a subtopic called components of research process. Ano ba yung components? Paano ba nangyayari ang research? Okay. So, of course, you start with an interest in mind. Why? Kasi research is an interest-driven. If you don't have an interest, then a research will not be an exciting activity. Research should be an exciting activity because this is a problem-solving activity. Parang ang connotation mo sa math, pag ito ay mahirap, edi hindi ka na magkakaroon ng excitement sa process na yon. Eh maganda pa naman yung specific problem-solving activity na yon. And the same way sa research, ganun din. You start with an enthusiasm and a motivation in mind, an interest of solving a certain problem. Now think, di ba ang dami yung problema sa buhay? Ang dami nating problema sa buhay. And we need solution to this problem. Okay, now that you're interested, you have a puzzle in mind to solve. You start by asking. Tama ba? Paano? Paano? Bakit? Diba? And your answer to this question, it is the basis for your research. Okay? Ito yung question. What is it that you want to find out? Okay, mag-isip na kayo. Or discover about this phenomenon that you are interested in. Halimbawa, nakita mo na bumagsak na yung economy ng ating bansa. At dahil doon, yun ang problema, nakita mo as your observation is concerned. And then, what you are going to do is, kukuha ka ng isang aspect sa ganung area. Let's say, ang aspect nun ay economics, di ba? And then, you, in that specific area or the field of interest, start to delve in kung ano pa yung mga problema. Gusto mong malaman kung ano na yung status. Let's say, gusto mong malaman kung ano yung financial status. What is the financial status of each family in an urban area or in an urban place? Oh, di ba? It's already a problem. Gusto mong malaman kung ano yung financial status ng citizens in a specific urban place. Okay. Now that you have already an area, let's say, gusto mo sa economics, sa science, sa math, mag-iisip ka na ngayon kung anong area of specialization. But I'm encouraging you to look for a problem in your specific area of specialization. If you are a STEM strand, look for problems that only limits to your specific strand. If you are an ABM, doon lang din. Okay? Now, this is the first component of a research process. Research question. Okay? You explore select research questions for further investigation. You could answer the issues of what, why, how, when. Ayan ang mga usual, these are the usual starting questions. And of course, you have to choose whether your research is an exploratory, descriptive, or explanatory. Okay? After you have chosen explanatory, descriptive, or explanatory research, then you start writing a research question. What is a research question? A research question, they are specific questions about a behavior, event, or phenomena of interest that you wish to seek answers for in your research. It doesn't necessarily mean you only have one research question. In fact, you should have specific questions. But if you have only one question and it's specific, then it's not anymore a research. Why? Because it needs a systematic investigation. Pag isang specific question lang yan, ang research question mo, inquiry lang ata yan, hindi yan research. Ano? Let me give you an example. Here are the following research questions. What factors motivate students to engage in extreme sports? Okay, this is one research question. What kind of research is this? This is an explanatory research because it seeks to answer the question why, right? Factors that are, these are reasons. Even if it starts with the word what, it's still requiring you to answer reasons or the why. And then, how can universities guarantee academic freedom? Okay, this is an example of a research question. This is an explanatory research as well. Okay? Are you there? You reserve your questions or clarification later on if you cannot understand some part. Okay? Now, your research question must be, first and foremost, important and relevant. Hindi yung, alam niyo yung mga hindi relevant questions. Now, how can you find out or how can you identify that your research question is relevant or important? These are the following questions that you have to ask yourself. Is the research significant in relation to the current problems of the world? Baka naman problema mo lang yun. Hindi yun problema ng mundo. Okay? So, a problem should be a problem that relates to everyone, or it is an international or global problem. Okay? Second, will the research build upon existing knowledge about the phenomenon? Is your research project or the outcome of your research could add or contribute to the existing knowledge? Kaya yun. Will the research apply, test, or develop theories? Okay. Now, how are you going to answer? How are you going to identify whether your research questions answers these three questions yes? Okay? Pag kasi yes ang sagot mo sa tatlong questions na ito, that means to say your research problem is researchable. Pwede yon. Pero kung hindi, edi hindi siya pwede or hindi siya scientific research. Okay? In order to answer these questions, you need to conduct a literature review. Okay? What is the purpose of a literature review? Okay, take note of the following. Literature review survey the current state of knowledge in the area of inquiry. Identify key authors, articles, theories, and findings in that area. Identify gaps in knowledge in that research area. Now, I don't want you to formulate a research topic that has already been replicated. When we say replicated, that has already been repeated several times. It is not anymore an issue during our time, rather it's an issue long time ago. The reason why you are doing a research is because you are solving current problems of the world. Okay? Or not in the world, but nationally, locally, it could also be fine. Okay? Pag sinabi natin gaps, ibig sabihin, yun yung specific area na hindi pa nila nasusolusyonan. Hindi pa nila na nalalaman kung ano yung solusyon para doon. Okay ba? So, wag kayong gagaya ng research noon kasi yun ay tapos na. Ibig sabihin, nakapagbigay na sila ng solusyon sa mga problemang iyon. Kapag kinopya niyo yung research topic, you are just repeating their research. Then there's no thrill at all. And your research becomes useless or invalid. Okay? Now, once that you have formulated your research question, then you begin to search for the answer to the question. Then you search for the answer using the literature review. However, upon upon you upon you continue to search, upon you take a journey, parang hindi mo alam kung ano ang pupuntahan mo, 'di ba? It's like a road. It's like a road. Ano? You don't know where to go. That's why in order to know where to go, you need a plan. Kailangan niyo ng plan. Okay? And in the language of scientific research, the plan is called research design. Okay, what is a research design? Let me give you this definition. Research design is a plan for collecting and analyzing evidence that will make it possible for the investigator to answer whatever questions he or she has posed. Research design siya. Okay? Ano yung mga sample? Kasi pag sinabi natin research design, mga specific iyan eh. Let's say, ilan ng population na makakakuha ka ng data? What type of data? Saan? Kailan? 'Di ba? Those are specific details that you need to know in order for you to navigate your journey to your direction. Okay? Okay, I hope that you're listening pa. What is a research design? Research design is also called as a blueprint of the activities to take in order to satisfactorily answer the research questions. That includes selecting a research method, operationalizing constructs of interest, and devising an appropriate sampling. Okay. So ano yung research methodology natin pala? Ano yon? Quantitative or qualitative research. Diba? Pag sinabi natin constructs of interest, yun yung mga specific variable or topic ng ating title or ng ating specific research. Appropriate sampling, ilan? 10 lang ba ang magiging sample mo and fitted na yon to collect your specific data? Or you still need 20 or more? Okay, anong kailangang sampling technique ang gagamitin mo? Magbubunot-bunot ka ba? Sa parang ano yun tawag dito? Cast lots ka ba ang gagamitin mo? Snowball? Or stratified sampling? Etc. And so forth and so forth. Okay, moving on. Lapit na tayong matapos. You have to answer the following questions when you are writing your research design or plan, no? What types of data do you need to enable you to answer your research question? How will you collect the data? Are the data both available and accessible? Will there be an adequate number and suitable diversity of respondents to the research, as I have explained a while ago? How will you analyze the data? Is there sufficient time and resources for data collection and analysis? And then we have research methodology. Pag sinabi nating research methodology, usually includes the rationale, justification for the research design. Okay, I'm not going to explain this in detail. Ontology and epistemology. Okay, quickly I'm going to explain this. Ontology, pag sinabi nating ontology, it refers to your assumption, okay, about kung paano mo nakikita yung mundo. Ano yung nature ng reality? Ano? Epistemology refers to your assumption kung ano yung best way para pag-aralan mo yung mundo. Okay? Should you use an objective or subjective approach para pag-aralan ang mundo? Or social reality? Should we use an objective or subjective approach to study social reality? Okay. Do you believe? What is your belief? If your belief is that there is a single objective reality to all, one that can be measured objectively, then you are using quantitative research. Okay? But if you believe otherwise, that reality is subjective and multiple socially constructed and therefore interpreted differently, then you are going to use qualitative research methodology. Okay? So when we say quantitative research, tangible siya, actual, fact-based. Ibig sabihin, wala kang mga preconceived ideas, opinions, neither other people's opinion towards a specific problem or towards a specific solution to the problem. Pag sinabi nating subjective, you either look for their experiences, look for the opinions, and look for the subjective ways to find the answers to the problem. Okay, these are the following methodology qualitative researchers use: ethnography or field research, interview, focus, groups, discussion, case study, discourse analysis, content or textual analysis, grounded theory. For quantitative researchers, use social survey, experiment, official statistics, structured observation, and content analysis. Okay, since our focus is qualitative, then you have to understand that one. And then last but not the least, the final stage is writing a research report. You identify now the key findings and formulate recommendations based on the conclusion of your research. Now, so to complete our discussion about scientific research, the next lesson that we're going to focus on is about scientific and non-scientific inquiry. That will be by next week. That's the lesson for next week. And by the way, our short quiz is already uploaded in your portal. If you are modular students, it is already embedded in your printed modules. Okay, if you listen to our lesson, then you can be able to answer those questions correctly. Do you have any question, class? Any further clarification before we end? We have 5 minutes left.